On December 4, 1872, the brigantine Mary Celeste was spotted adrift in the Atlantic, halfway between Portugal and the Azores. The ship was intact, her sails partly set, her cargo untouched. Yet not a soul remained on board. The Gracia, a Canadian vessel, came alongside and sent men across. They found a ship eerily preserved in mid-journey. The galley held food, still fit to eat. The cabins contained clothing and personal belongings. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, no violence. But the lifeboat was gone, and so was the captain, his wife and daughter, and the crew of 7. The Mary Celeste had left New York on November 7, carrying 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol bound for Genoa. She was commanded by Captain Benjamin Briggs, a respected sailor, accompanied by his wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. The weather on departure had been fair, and nothing suggested the voyage would end in mystery. Her discovery a month later was shocking, not for her condition, but for the silence. The logbook ended abruptly 10 days before she was found. The final entry described nothing unusual: calm weather, steady course. The hull was sound, no flooding, no fire. The cargo was largely intact, though a few barrels of alcohol had leaked. The sextant, chronometer, and ship's papers were missing, along with the single lifeboat. But why would an experienced captain abandon a seaworthy vessel? Theories multiplied. Some suggested fear of an imminent explosion from alcohol vapors. If fumes escaped from leaking barrels, Briggs may have believed the ship about to ignite and ordered an evacuation. But no scorch marks or fire damage were ever found. Others proposed a sudden waterspout or violent storm, flooding the deck and making the crew fear the ship would founder. Yet the vessel was dry when discovered. Piracy was raised, but the cargo and valuables were untouched. Mutiny was suspected, yet no evidence of violence appeared. More speculative tales entered the lore: sea monsters rising from the depths, ghostly interventions, abduction by otherworldly forces. The image of a ship gliding silently, abandoned without cause, invited imagination as much as logic. What is certain is that the Mary Celeste was salvaged and sailed again, her mystery unsolved. Captain Briggs, his family, and crew were never seen again. The story has endured because of its balance. Enough detail to intrigue, enough absence to baffle. A ship found floating, perfectly capable of sailing, yet empty. A riddle carved into maritime history, unsolved across a century and a half. The vanished crew. On April 18, 2007, a sleek white catamaran drifted off the coast of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. The vessel, Kaz II, was found under sail, her engines idling, her electronics working, her table laid with food. But her 3-man crew was missing. The boat had departed Airlie Beach on April 15, crewed by 3 friends from Queensland: Derek Batten, Peter Tunstead, and James Tunstead. They were experienced sailors, intending only a short coastal voyage. On April 20, maritime patrols found the yacht drifting. Boarding parties found no one aboard. The Kaz II was in near-perfect condition. The sails were partly set. Life jackets were stowed neatly. The dinghy was still tied up. In the galley, a laptop was open, meals prepared. There were no signs of distress, no damage to the hull, no emergency calls. Investigators recovered the vessel's video camera. Its last footage showed the men relaxed, fishing, and laughing on calm seas. The date was April 15, the day of departure. The final images gave no hint of impending disaster. Speculation began immediately. Did one man fall overboard and the others perish trying to save him? Did a sudden squall sweep them all into the water? The vessel's sails were found tangled, suggesting a sudden shift of wind. One rope was trailing in the water, as though someone had been holding it. Theories of foul play were dismissed. Nothing was stolen. No blood or struggle marked the decks. Suicide pact or staged disappearance seemed unlikely. These were men on a brief leisure voyage with no known troubles. More unsettling possibilities were raised. Rogue waves, sudden squalls, freak accidents invisible in their aftermath. A simple misstep on deck, an attempt to help a crewmate, a chain of small errors cascading into vanishing silence. The official inquest concluded that the three likely fell overboard while trying to manage the sails in rough conditions. The catamaran, steady and stable, continued without them until found. Yet the sight remains chilling. A yacht adrift, systems humming, possessions untouched, meals waiting, and no crew. The Kaz II became a modern echo of the Mary Celeste, a ghost ship without struggle, without answer, left to drift on calm seas. The Derelict of the Pacific. On November 10, 1955, the merchant vessel Joyita was found drifting north of Fiji. Her decks were empty. Her cargo was gone. 25 passengers and crew had vanished. The Joyita had left Apia, Samoa, on October 3, bound for Tokelau, carrying medical supplies, timber, food, and trade goods. She never arrived. A month later, search planes spotted her adrift. When rescue vessels boarded, they found a scene of abandonment. The Joyita was listing, her port deck flooded. Her radios were tuned to emergency frequencies, but their wiring was cut. Bloodstains marked the decks. Knives lay scattered. Her cargo hold was empty. Lifeboats and rafts were missing. The ship was damaged, but not fatally. Her engines were disabled, but she remained afloat. Her hull filled with buoyant cork and sealed compartments. She was virtually unsinkable. Why would an experienced crew abandon such a vessel? If they took to lifeboats, they vanished completely. No trace of wreckage, no bodies, no survivors were ever found. Theories flourished. Some believed the captain, gravely ill, was incapacitated, leaving confusion and panic among the crew. Others suspected mutiny, with fights breaking out and lifeboats seized. The cut wiring and bloodstains hinted at violence. Piracy was raised. The cargo was missing, but whether stolen or jettisoned remains uncertain. No pirate claim or record emerged. Another theory held that the Joyita began taking on water, and the crew, believing her doomed, abandoned ship. Yet her design ensured she would not sink. Had they stayed aboard, they would likely have survived. The most haunting detail was her clock. When found, it had stopped at 10:25. No one knows whether morning or night. A frozen moment in the ship's last day. The disappearance of all aboard remains unexplained. 25 people, cargo, and lifeboats simply gone. The Joyita drifted on, an empty shell, a Pacific enigma. Unlike the Mary Celeste or the Kaz II, the Joyita showed signs of struggle, blood, knives, sabotage. But like them, she tells the same story. A ship intact, floating, yet without those who sailed her.